is MLW superstar and member of the Rogue Horsemen, the Victorious BRG, and tonight I'm drinking at Moe's.
This is Drinkin at Moe's, where we talk about the pros of pro wrestling in the Midwest while sipping on some brews with blessed beers and wrestling. That's my scene. Death matches and lucha libre, it's also mean. I'm a straight up smart goofball, not no kiss ass. I stand tall when it comes to wrestling. I'm the king. I know every move, every fling. Get ready for a wild time with Drinkin at Moe's, where we don't quit. Drinkin at Moe's, that's where it's at. Like a power bomb, we hit hard, never flat. Fucking right, we're living the dream. Talking about wrestling, always a scream.
All right, everybody, taking time out before we get this show started. I want to thank Reaper Apparel for having Drinkin' Mo's be a brand ambassador for their clothing line. They got good stuff. They got t-shirts, they got hoodies, they got beanies, they got lots of great stuff, encouraging everybody to break out of their comfort zone, live their best self, and hey, it's something I try to live every day. Now, be sure when you go and you're filling out your order, use the code Drinkin' at Moe's, get 10% off, and the link and the code will both be in the description. Let's fucking go. All right, everybody, welcome. Drinkin' at Moe's, Big Mo here. You know the drill by now. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff, because YouTube's algorithm is a pain in the ass. We're most places can find audio too, so leave a review there, helps there. Today, I'm excited to have with me MLW superstar, member of the Rogue Horsemen, the Victorious BRG. How you doing?
Living the dream, my friend. I'm living the dream every single day.
I was gonna say, like, it seems like ever since first started teaming there with Bobby Fish, and then Anderson's come in, you guys have been running roughshod around that place.
I mean, essentially, we've made MLW our company. There's two major factions in MLW right now. You have Contra Unit, which they always know how to cause chaos and havoc. And now with the Rogue Horsemen, we're pretty much the same way. We like to do things our own way. We march to the beat of our own drum. We like to take care of business the way that we see fit. So MLW is definitely a very chaotic place right now, but I'm enjoying it.
I was gonna say, I've been, we'll go into some of the happenings, but first thing that I like to talk to everybody about is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you making the leap into the business.
So I hated pro wrestling growing up. I'm one of like the few people in wrestling that never really grew up as a fan. I was always a hockey guy. I really didn't get into pro wrestling until I was 13 years old, back in 2011, and there was only one person. So like I was like very much kind of like a angsty teenager. So when I saw Edge show up on Friday Night SmackDown for the first time, he was someone that I immediately gravitated towards because he was very much the style that I liked. He had the pyro, the awesome entrance music. It's immediately what drew me to him.
Oh, yeah.
The wrestling was never like the huge thing. It was just him as the character himself. It's always interesting because I always tell people, and I've told Ricardo Rodriguez, Jesus Rodriguez, that the match that got me to want to be a pro wrestler is a match that he was involved with, which was Alberto Del Rio versus Edge at WrestleMania 27. Now, historically, that WrestleMania is canned by fans, but that's always going to hold a special place in my heart. That's the match. It's like a 7-minute long match is what made me just decide I'm going to do this. And so I always wanted to do it, but I was 13 at the time. I went to high school and I was doing hockey, sophomore year, I got cut. So I immediately told my parents, I'm like, okay, I want to go try pro wrestling. They're like, what? Yeah, I want to go try it. I want to this school like 45 minutes from here. Mom, can you drive me every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday so I can go train? And my mom, God bless her, she was a nurse my entire life. So you can only imagine being a nurse, watching your son fall on his back on purpose and just taking the brutal beating amongst grown men at 15 years old and just happened to be like, all right, well, he wants to do this with his life, so I got to support it. She was always great, but, there was a time I got a concussion during practice and she's like, you get one more and that's it. That wasn't the case, but she, she supported me throughout my whole deal.
That's awesome. I love when people have their family behind them like that, because I know for me, I was really the only person in my family that was like heavily into it, and I think my parents more tolerated my fandom of wrestling. They're like, well, it makes him happy and he's not getting into trouble, so yeah. But you brought up Ricardo Rodriguez there. Funny enough, when I got started watching independent wrestling, it was right before he went to WWE. And at least in Southern California, where I was stationed with the Navy, that was, he had, and I'm damn certain that at least as far as Southern California went, I was at his last match before he went to WWE. Like he performed under a mask, and I remember this thought came into my head today as I was watching. I believe it was Never Say Never, where one of the commentators, when talking about him, said, I like to call him like a chimera, and I'm like, that was his name. That was the name he performed under.
I never knew that. That's crazy.
And like, I specifically remember, like, how some people, when they retire, will leave their boots in the ring and then leave. Well, this was his last match before he went to WWE, so he had the mask. He went back through the curtain, stuck his hand back out with the mask in his hand, and dropped it. I was like, holy, that, like, just, I'm like, that's funny, because I don't know if he realized, but I'm pretty certain he might have, that I'm like, yeah, that was actually the name he used.
I knowing the commentary team, they probably did that as a nice little subtle Easter egg.
Oh yeah. So, you mentioned, getting trained now, and correct me if I'm wrong, because Lord knows cage match doesn't always get everything right. I've specifically seen matches that I was at that they got participants wrong in.
Yeah.
But it lists Matt Taven and Mike Bennett as your trainers. I wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I've had the pleasure of meeting them both. One time was at Revolver, where I got to meet both of them.
Yeah.
And then let's just say I've met Mike Bennett quite a few times.
Oh, yeah.
Coming different places. It actually happened, I believe, at that same one where I met them both at, where I had met him so many times within the span of a year that I just walked up to him. We had a good laugh about it. I said, you know what? We got to quit bumping into each other like this.
It's funny because, like, we always mention, like, cage match mentions those two guys, but there's so many other people that are involved in it. Like, they were my second school. Like, I went to a little school up in Rhode Island called Showcase Pro Wrestling. They gave me like my like first bumps, my getting out of the ring, like stuff like that. And then when you move on to like Mike and Taven, it was like Mike was about to go to WWE at that point. So he was there for a little bit, but then it was Taven and Vincent. And then from there, I went to their trainer's school, Ryan Waters, up at Top Rope Promotions. And then I also got to learn a little bit from Thomas Santel, who was Antonio Thomas of the Heartthrobs in WWE. So my thing is like cage match, like it's good on who like my base trainers were, but there's so many people that are involved in it, and there's so many people that make me as well rounded as I like to say that I am. So that's the big thing that I always try to tell people is, especially like kids that I see coming up now, it's like please go to different schools. Please go to different schools, go to different training. Like that's something that I said to Brad Baylor, who's one of the current WWE ID prospects. When I first met him in Connecticut, that was one of the first things I told him, that I don't want to say that I take credit for any of that stuff, just to be clear. But he went and did it, and look where it's gotten him. Look where it's gotten me. Gotten some pretty good success because I've just always been on a consistent turntable of trying to learn more and more.
Gotcha. Now, I'll pause it real quick here. All right, technical difficulties, but we're back. But much like I definitely agree in some of the advice there, because it's an ever evolving process from everything that I've learned throughout all the episodes, which coincidentally, as of recording, my 300th episode airs Friday.
That's crazy. Congratulations.
With Cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger. He's around my area. I haven't been on many shows with him, but I know plenty of people that know him well.
Oh yeah. He was an absolute pleasure. But yeah, it's an ever evolving process. There's always different schools teaching different styles. Like I know a lot, Southern California, there's a lot of the Lucha Libre style.
Yeah.
And American style. Hell, they even got the New Japan dojo out there.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Like, you can get like a whole mix, and then what ends up coming up a lot of times with a lot of the guests I have on is taking something from everywhere and mashing it into your own thing. Because like nothing wrong with taking inspiration from hell, one of my personal favorites, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Nothing wrong with taking little bits from him and then changing it up just enough to where it's like people would have no grounds in saying, carbon copy of so-and-so.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is that I've always said that I've always taken something from each school that I've been to. So just for, like I said, with Showcase, it was a lot of just like, first bumps, everything along those lines. And then you go to Taven's and Bennett's and Vinny's, where it was more of like the showmanship and working on your character and working on your promos. If you look at any student that's gone through Taven's school, you can see it. Just in names, it's like Love Doug, Waves and Curls, and me. We're all these eccentric characters, and not for nothing, it's what we believe to be the thing that matters the most. And then you take a guy like Ryan Waters, who's like so good at teaching psychology and making sure that everything makes sense, and that everything that you do when you're inside the ring looks legit and it makes sense. Those are the fact that I've had all these different trainers that have all given me at least one little thing to make me better. It's why I tell people, like, train other places, because you have no idea what you're going to learn from other people.
Oh yeah, you definitely become a well-rounded individual, taking something from everywhere. And funny enough, MLW Superstar, but the first place most recently that I remember, like off the top of my head, without even looking at my notes, that I saw you at was actually at one of my favorite promotions that I'm actually, as of recording this Saturday, going to a show for them, Revolver.
Yeah.
In that 7-way scramble, which involved their now champion Ace Austin, but also two past guests of mine, Landon Hale and Ricky Shane Page.
Yeah, I love both those guys. Ricky, Ricky was like very much when I was navigating the waters at MLW for the first time. Like he was one of those guys that just like was like, do this, make sure you're doing this, make sure you're getting with these people. These are the people you want to talk to, and make sure you get on their good side, type of thing. And it's funny you bring up Revolver because I personally owe a lot to Sammy Callahan for everything that he's done for me, for everything that every single time that I talk to him, he's always like a wealth of knowledge. He's like, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. And he's blunt and he's to the point, but it's like, it's the style that I need because I don't want to have to like read in between the lines. I just like it upfront and personal.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he does that. It's incredible. And Landon, God, I've wrestled him so many times at this point. He's someone that no matter where he goes, if someone asks, he's always one of those people that will always put me over to somebody, and I don't even have to ask, which just goes to show his type of character. It's like you do something good for him, he's going to make sure that everybody else hears about it because he feels that everybody else deserves to hear about how great you are if he believes you're good.
Oh, yeah. And it was actually a past guest that was also a mutual friend of his, August Artois, that ended up introducing me to him.
Okay.
And saying, oh, you should have this guy on. And then when I got to have him on, I was sharing some of the personal news that I got that's actually coming up later this month. And, he asked, to tell me his stuff off camera, which, I mean, but now his news where he's expecting, well, it's going to be right around Christmas if she doesn't go into labor on her own. But my wife and I are actually expecting a little boy ourselves.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I remember you mentioning
share...
that to me when we talked. Yeah. Congratulations, man. That's a big deal.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty excited. Like I've been telling a few people, like I've always thought it'd be cool to, I see parents with their little ones at a show and it'd be like, man, that would be cool to have that,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously not right now, like right after they're born. Like, yeah, I'm going to wait a little bit, but, being able to share, something that I love with my son, that's going to be something that, I'm looking forward to. Whether or not he takes to it, that's a whole nother thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm definitely looking forward to it. And, with Revolver, I've got a lot of love for those guys. Sammy definitely, I mean, I've seen it both, on the mic and, in different interviews, different podcasts. Very much he can be very blunt, but, oftentimes that's what a lot of people will need because there's so much of this, people, beating around the bush and painting a rosy picture about this or that. But if, let's say you have something that you're wanting to improve on. If you don't have somebody that tells me, hey, you need to do this, then you're just going to keep moving along like you got nothing to do.
I just see that as just for a lot of people in wrestling, a lot of them didn't come from sports. Me, I played hockey my entire life, so like I was used to coaches just yelling at me and just being like, "You need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this." It's just how I'm wired. My dad was the same way. My dad was a hockey coach too, so it was like I knew like do this, do this, do this, do this. This is what you need to do in order to do this. This is what you need to do in order to do this. It's fine. Some people aren't wired that way. That's fine, but I just feel that that's not something that's going to benefit them in the long run.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm definitely with you there because you need somebody that isn't going to, they're not going to bullshit around with you.
Yeah.
If you need to improve on something, I know for myself, hell, I've taken plenty of notes from people that have said, hey, if I were you, I'd do this, like, especially starting out. And then that I'm like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. I could do that to improve this aspect of stuff. And boom, here I am now approaching, well, as of, recording, I'm getting to almost 320 episodes. So it's like,
Yeah,
shit, I must be doing something okay here.
you're doing something all right.
So, all right, now on to MLW, because you guys, MLW's killing it right now.
Mhm.
Like, I would like, I've said before that MLW, in my opinion, and I don't want anybody to, take this the wrong way. I feel like MLW is a very underrated promotion. Like, I'm watching the shows, and good Lord, the production value alone, and then you get the whole mix of styles of, people from the States. You got the working relationship with CMLL, different stars from Japan. I've seen Kenta on there a lot. Like,
Absolutely.
you're getting a little something for everybody. And those, in my opinions, are the wrestling shows that definitely jump out to me, because it's like, okay, if you prefer one style or another, promotions like that, you're going to find it. And, you'll maybe watching the other stuff, you'll find another one that you're like, you know what? Yeah, I was more of a fan of that, but hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the main selling point. That's the main core message about MLW is that it's hybrid wrestling. You get strong style, you get lucha libre, you get a hardcore. You can literally get you have on one side you have guys like Akira, then you have on the other side guys like myself, and then you have guys like Mystico, and then you have Kenta, and it's just all four of those individuals right there wrestle a completely separate style from one another. So it's cool when you get to have that mix of everything. But then the intriguing part about MLW is, okay, what happens when you have Akira, who's this crazy, insane deathmatch wrestler, go up against Mystico? Then there's intrigue because you have no idea what the hell's going to happen. And same vice versa. You can take different things. Myself versus Mystico. What happens there? Myself versus Kenta. What happens there? It's just, that's the beauty about MLW, is that you have this fantastic array of different talents and different individuals that all have something to contribute. The fact that when you have them wrestle against someone on their own style, it's fantastic. But when you have them wrestle somebody that's completely different from them, that's where the intrigue lies, and that's what makes it very interesting.
I just had that conversation last night with somebody where, you get, there is something cool about having people that, wrestle similar styles, but when you have that complete contrast, the Akiras, which, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the guy. I've been lucky enough to have him on. Very well-spoken individual when you get him out there. But yeah, he can do, the deathmatch style, the hardcore style. And you put him up against, a Kenta, Mystico, or anybody in those time frames. I mean, he shows what I've discussed with a lot of deathmatch wrestlers. There's like, there's like all genres of wrestling. There's those people that are supporters and detractors of all of them. But with deathmatch, it's like, when it's done right with somebody like an Akira, like a Ricky Shane Page, they have that solid base in, just regular professional wrestling. It's just surrounded oftentimes by the deathmatch elements. Like, hell, I was just watching the Taipei deathmatch he had with Juan. That was insane.
That's, those guys are insane. I'd rather not be in a match like that with Akira. That's just mine.
He's
I can't.
definitely.
I think I can beat Akira without having to use glass in order to do it.
Yeah, I can get you there. And it's interesting because, like I said, MLW is absolutely killing it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but as of right now, they have still sold out every single show this calendar year.
Correct.
That is wild when you think about it, because there's some that fluctuates. Oh, sometimes they're a little closer here and not so much here, but literally every single show.
It's the benefit of the fact that MLW has been on the road again and traveling to all these different areas. This is like the first full year where we've been on the road completely. So it's like you go to Tampa, you go to New York City, Chicago, and Atlanta, and now we've just added Texas. And then they announced yesterday that April 5th we're going to be back out in Los Angeles.
Nice.
For the first, actually not back out in the first time ever in Los Angeles, which not for nothing, I've never been, so that's going to be a cool experience for myself. But it's one of those things where you said it, we're killing it, and then the demand is coming now. All these fans are starting to hear the buzz around MLW again, and they're starting to realize, oh wow, like everything that you're saying, these people are starting to realize it, and that's the beauty of it.
Oh yeah.
We're about to go sell out not only in just the areas that we've been in all year round, but now starting next year, we're going to go sell out Texas and we're going to go sell out Los Angeles. I don't see how that couldn't happen.
Oh yeah, no, with the buzz you guys got going on right now, I don't see why that couldn't happen. Hell, you got, and this, I know when I saw this, I was like, holy shit, Eric Bischoff one shot.
Yep.
Having that guy coming in, man, some people give him shit, but dude, he has a good, solid, even just flat out business model aspect of how a show can go. And help.
Eric's one of my favorite non-wrestling personalities. I think that a lot of what he's done for the industry has been revolutionary, and I think that because of his character and how he was always portrayed on TV, I feel like people see him as an easy target to take pot shots at. But that's the thing, is when you look at everything that WCW did, and people are like, oh, well, I remember I heard a comment the other day. It was like, oh, but he only had them beat for 83 weeks. I'm like, it's still 83 weeks that he beat the top wrestling attraction in the entire country. And the stuff that he did in order to get those 83 weeks and win those 83 weeks was all revolutionary to the wrestling business.
Oh yeah.
So you can't take that away from him, regardless of how much you want to demean that. It's an incredible feat. And
oh yeah, most definitely.
The fact that he's going to be on a show that I'm going to be on, like I said, one of my favorite wrestling personalities, so that'll be a treat.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. And I find it funny that people say, oh, it was only 83 weeks, but I'm like, much like you, really, 83 weeks. Sit back and think about how long of a period of time that really is.
Yeah.
And he beat them for that long.
And it's not like it was just like those 83 weeks and that's it. It was after that too.
Oh yeah. No, there was definitely periods of time after that too. And we've talked about, some of the different talent that have gone on. We talked about, different factions. I know there's one that you and your boys in the Rogue Horsemen have been feuding with, which, I mean, I get a kick out of it because I love watching those feuds where it's like, yeah, there's that back and forth. It's not that constant, domination where it almost gets to the point where like you watch it and like, oh, well, we know that, yeah, they're going to win here. But
I mean, for me, I don't know. I look at the Boom Fight Club and I'm like, okay, they have these like little small victories here and there, but they don't win. They're not coming out looking in a position where they're looking great.
Oh yeah.
I don't care what happens in the ring. I care about what happens at the end of the night and where the Boom Fight Club is sitting.
What? That makes sense.
Right now, I have Alex Kane's number. I know it. We have their number. We have the Boom Fight Club's number. We've beaten them 2 times in a row now. So
true. That makes a lot of sense when you sit back and think about it, because yeah, they might, that winning the battle but not winning the war sort of thing. Whereas like, I know there was one match that I saw recently where, yeah, he got the upper hand in the actual match. But at the end of the day, you and the Rogue Horsemen were the ones standing tall because they came in and, took care of business.
That's all we plan on doing. That's all that really matters at the end of the day. It's just business.
No,
We take care of things. We show up, we kick ass, make the girls fall in love, break their hearts, leave.
I got you there. And I was kind of curious because I was able to see how the formation of the group came about. There was the match during the Opera Cup tournament that where Bobby Fish was interviewing you after, and then you both attacked Jake Chris, and then later on, the Andersons come in, and you think they're gonna help? It was like Paul London, yeah, it was Paul London, and then no, the Swerve, and no, now they're. But who was it that coined the name Rogue Horseman? Because there's two people in that group that have ties or were in other iterations of the Horsemen, like
exactly
C.W. Anderson, Extreme Horseman, Brock Anderson, the son of an original Four Horsemen.
Exactly.
There's those ties in there, but who was it that came up with Rogue Horseman?
I think it was, I don't know the exact person that came up with it. It was like a big conglomeration of us four and Court, and a lot of the people involved with MLW. So it was a big conglomeration because we were always thinking like, oh, should we just bring it back to as the Extreme Horsemen? But it never really solidified, and then it just came to us. So yeah, it's a very cool thing to be like. I don't care what anybody says. I can say that I'm a horseman. I can say that. And there's validity to it. It's not like one of these Joe Schmo, like random indie factions where they have no credibility whatsoever and they just pretend to be horsemen. No, there's validity to it. You just said the C.W. Anderson was in the Extreme Horsemen, which was solidified by having Barry Windham, who was also a Four Horseman, in the group. That continues the lineage of the Four Horsemen. Then you have Brock, who, not for nothing, it's probably the coolest photo that I've seen where it's him and his dad. His dad is wearing the Four Horsemen t-shirt and Brock's wearing the Rogue Horseman t-shirt. I don't know how else, cool. I don't know how else you can really solidify the fact that this is a legitimate lineage to the Four Horsemen. And not for nothing, but I damn well deserve it. And I know.
You know what? You guys definitely, you look back at the other iterations, like going even back to the original Horsemen, with CW and Brock. They kind of have the Bard and Oldie vibe with the two of them. And then between you and Bobby Fish, you have the kind of Flair and Tully in there as well, with you kind of in my head, Flair got on the mic a lot, but you also had, damn it,
Tully talking a lot too.
You have all those aspects in there where you can, you sit back and you think about it and you can really see the similarities between any of the iterations. Like you can say like, oh, I can see this guy as that person from the original, and it was just cool for me sitting back and thinking about it.
And those comparisons are bound to happen regardless, but at the same time, it you can make the comparisons, but we are our own individual people at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. That's the main thing to realize is that people can just see the blonde hair and just immediately think, he's Ric Flair.
Yeah.
But if you actually watch me wrestle and see who I am as an actual in-ring performer, you'd actually realize that I'm way more than just some carbon copy Ric Flair wannabe. No, I actually know what the hell I'm doing. The reason why this faction is so cool to me is because I am a fan of Southern wrestling. Mm-hmm. I'm a fan of watching old WCW, old WCCW, World Class Championship Wrestling. And I like watching a lot of older promos involving the Four Horsemen, and just the fact that I can continue that lineage now with one of the for sons is a very much a cool feeling to have. So I take it as with a, I take it in stride. It's a badge of honor to me, but I also know there's a lot of eyes now, and I can't fail, and I'm not going to fail because that's not in my repertoire ever.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely get you there, and like, there's nothing wrong with that's cool. Compliment that. Oh, you remind somebody of this, but it goes back to the whole, I think people talk about, with like in sports, Michael Jordan, not wanting to be the next Michael Jordan. They want to be the first them.
Exactly.
And while still being able to see, different similarity traits and this and that, but they're doing the work to make it their thing and not that cop.
Just to point it out, like, do you know how many times that people have been like, oh, he's just an MJF wannabe? Okay, I don't know how else to say this, but just because I have 3 letters and I like to get on the mic and talk shit doesn't make me an MJF wannabe. So it's a consistent thing that I've heard throughout my entire career is like, oh, Temu this or Wish version of this. It's like, I understand people are jealous. Yeah. They want to have the position that I'm in now, and it's kind of sad to see that they have to try and demean somebody down just to make themselves feel better. But true. I mean, if their lives are that depressing, that's fine. You can do that.
No, I'm with you there because I know when I'm watching you, I'm like, yeah, I'm enjoying, when you're on the mic and I don't know, going from being where I was growing up and being, the stereotypical fan of the faces, but now I'm enjoying some of the heel work of a lot of people and, seeing what you do on the mic and then how you guys in the Rogue Horsemen work together. I'm like, dude, I'm loving this.
A lot of the time it's because I'm authentic.
And that is what comes up with a lot of people, that when people can sense that authenticity with a person and that they're not just playing a character, then I know, at least for myself, those are the people that I gravitate towards.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that I see whenever they grab a microphone and they start talking, it's like, okay, I don't even believe you. I don't even believe what you have to say.
But yeah,
my sister's looking at me right now, trying to make me right now.
No, yeah. I get you.
Yeah.
But hell, going, before we move on, I actually had a similar thing happen with Akira.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden I hear somebody's voice in the background, and then all of a sudden, like right at the corner of the screen, all of a sudden you see her head, and I'm like, hello.
Yeah.
Not like I knew that it was a possibility, but I'm like, oh, she's a busy person. She ain't gonna be, peeking in on this.
Absolutely. Yeah. I get it. That's still cool.
Oh, yeah. Because I've been able to see her live a couple times, and that the intensity that they both match together, they fit together pretty well.
Yeah. But whatever they want to do. Yeah. Yes.
No, but as far as MLW goes, what are you mentioned Texas and Los Angeles in the new year. What are some other things specifically that you're looking forward to in the new year? Because I can imagine you got that solid group of guys there with you in the Rogue Horsemen. I can imagine eventually you guys want all the damn gold.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say, is when you look at it, it's like you have a group of just studs, these blue chippers that that no matter what they do, they're going to get the job done. The only thing that we're missing now is all the championship gold to go along with it. Now, I'm not somebody that loves to give away plans because I'm very meticulous with how I
Mm.
craft things and how I put things out. But just
Makes
know that
sense.
there is a lot, a lot of good things on the way for not only the Rogue Horsemen, not only for myself, but for MLW in general. And I said it earlier, we've caused our own bit of chaos.
True.
I'm happy with chaos when I'm the one that's causing it. Being on the other end of it, not so much.
No,
But when you're the one that's dealing out all of it, there's nothing more satisfying than watching the world burn behind you, knowing that you're the one that caused it.
oddly enough, I totally get that because I know I've always imagined myself if I ever were, in the business. I know I've, since, Navy injuries and stuff, I've realized the in-ring aspect wouldn't really be my part, but I've always thought, oh, maybe manager, but then being the guy that's, the manager of the people and joining in and causing the chaos, I would have way too much fun with that.
Yeah.
And like, I
It's
totally get the enjoyment with it.
it's fun being the bad guy. I wear it with a I wear it with a badge of pride, in all honesty. I there's a lot of people just bug me. I'm a very I can be very reserved unless you're on my good side and I like you and you're my friend. Then
Mm.
I'm one of the nicest people and one of the nicest people that you could meet. But if I don't like you, you'll get very minimal from me. And if I really don't like you, then you end up like guys like Alex Kane, Jake Christ. Who else have we beaten? Oh, I mean, we just beaten up the Blue Miami Fight Club too many times to the point where they just know by this point what happens. Uh, I can't tell you enough how gratifying it feels to just sit up on my own little perch and just looking at the fire that I've caused surrounding me and just sitting like a king, knowing that this isn't even the beginning.
Like, the image that comes into my head right now, especially bringing that up, is I'm wanting to say was from The Dark Knight, where that scene where the Joker blows up the hospital, and it's
Yeah.
just the picture of him walking away and everything behind him burning.
Yeah, I'm just in a fur coat, not a nurse's outfit. That's the only difference.
All right. Well, now I got two categories. First one's a bit of a name game where I name off some people. You give me some quick thoughts on them, and I try to theme it towards the guests as much as possible. And with all the talk we've done with MLW, each of these guys definitely heavy featured with MLW right now. A few of them even holding gold that I know you guys will be chasing.
Yeah.
So, first one, we talked about him a little bit. Akira.
Crazy. Insane. His dog's cool, though.
Yeah. His dog's cool. And, the thing that jumped out to me and I will always remember, very well spoken. Like, when you get him talking about something, very well spoken. But yes, in the ring, especially with matches like that Taipei death match that I brought up.
The psychopath. He belongs in a straitjacket.
I could definitely see that being brought up. Yes. Another guy that would definitely fit in that because, good Lord, I've seen him pull off some crazy shit. Matthew Justice.
He's not as tough as everybody makes him out to be.
Really?
I could beat him.
I mean, yeah. No.
I know I could.
Okay.
I know I could.
I remember the first time I actually got to see him live, I saw him jumping off a scaffold.
Yeah, he's insane. I mean, I'll give it to him. He's a daredevil. He's balls to the walls. He puts his all into wrestling. But I just know I can beat him. And I don't care how big and strong and tough you are. I'm tough. Like, people don't believe me when I say that, but I'm tough.
No,
I played 16 years of hockey. I dominated in that Russian chain match against Alex Kane.
you did. Yes, that you did.
I know these tough guys, they don't scare me.
That's
And
good.
Matthew Justice is no different.
Yeah. No, that is definitely good because, yeah, you're gonna, hell, I know there's somebody later on in this list here that, man, I know at least as far as myself initially, if I were standing across the ring from him, I might need to have to make sure before the match that I brought an extra change of underpants because I probably would have been shitting myself.
Yeah.
But, being able to have that confidence going in there because, yeah, there's people that have that image of themselves when, they're out there doing all this crazy stuff, but to be able to get your mind past that is the key there. Definitely. And hell, before the next person here, I actually have gotten, before the second gear crew split up, I got each of them laughing in person when I got to actually tell them that their matches might as well be sponsored by Home Depot.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Next up, the guy that holds the main title there, Satoshi Kojima.
Legend of the industry. I'm gonna sound like a broken record here, but he's a legend of the industry. But at the same time, would he be a legend if he ever fought BRG back in the day? That's a great question.
Good question.
I don't know. I just feel like if things were different and I was a little bit older, I'd be the one that everybody's talking about as one of these legends of the industry. But Satoshi Kojima, I will say, probably one of the nicest people in the entire locker room. He's very cordial. He's always has a smile on his face. I'm necessarily the opposite, but I always try to give people their kudos, even though I'm not necessarily a fan of theirs.
Yeah.
You can't take away from the fact that this man has done an incredible amount in the industry. He's created moments and moments for years and years to come. He was the first ever MLW champion, and he's the first ever two-time MLW champion, which is a feat unto itself. But I know that if I wrestled him, I could beat him.
And you know what? Just because, you mentioned, if things were different and, you were a little older, people would be talking about you in that aspect. Hey, who's to say that, I'm fully confident with what I see that maybe there's not enough people doing it now, but I see, you having one of those careers where, people are definitely going to be talking about you in the aspect of, legendary performers out there because you kill it out there, dude.
Well, that's because I have something to prove. I have to prove people wrong. There was a lot of people that told me originally that I had no chance of doing anything in wrestling. And there's still people that, they like to run their mouth on the internet when they don't got the balls to say it to my face.
No, yeah.
I have no problem. I have no problem shutting up haters. And I'll tell it straight to their face that I think they're an idiot. I think they're stupid. I think they're fat. I think they're ugly because I don't care. These people want to come in and start chirping and doing all this stuff. Buddy, I played hockey. Trash talk was our game. I was in the 6th grade pulling up to the face-off circle and telling somebody that I was going to nail their mother that night. So I've been a trash talker my entire life. I dare you to come at me. I dare you.
Oh man, I definitely learned to have a thick skin and enjoy joining in on the trash talk myself. Being from the military, because it's like if you don't have thick skin there, man, people are gonna eat you alive.
My favorite thing to do, and I can't wait to do this because at the time of recording, we have one shot in 2 days. And every time I go to New York City, being a native New Englander, can't stand New York City. I think it's a dump. I think it's rat infested. And then I think about the actual rats that live in the city.
Oh,
It's
God.
disgusting. And I just can't wait to. Every time I walk out there, there's a chorus of boos before I can even say a word. And I'm just smiling ear to ear because I know I got under their skin and they hate it because I'm trash talking their crappy city that's overrated as hell because Boston's always been better. Hell, Providence, Rhode Island is better than that freaking dump. Whoever set the grid system was a great idea for a city. Clearly needs to get their brain checked.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah.
I think I've only been to the town once.
Yeah, it sucks.
But I'm definitely looking forward to that show in particular. But all right, last but not least here, a guy that I would definitely hope to never be on his bad side. Member of Contra Unit, Minoru Suzuki.
Another I faced off against him in the battle riot this year. He was terrified of me. So I didn't get to spar with him a little bit. But it would have been an interesting fight. But like I said, I can't help the fact that I'm intimidating as I am. So man just decided to run away from me. I don't know what to do. He's a legend of the business. Would love to wrestle him one day, show him and show everybody else that he's not as good as he says he is. But we'll see.
No, we'll see. He's definitely, you mentioned, Contra Unit, Rogue Horsemen, both factions causing a lot of chaos. Who knows? It would be an interesting concept to see both forces button heads.
I think as of right now, we keep a nice separate. We try to keep things separate because at the end of the day, we're both looking for chaos, and as long as we don't interfere with one another, I think everything will be fine.
True.
There's no such thing. There's no bad thing of being too much chaos. Just as long as your chaos isn't interfering with my chaos, that's all that matters.
That is true because I can see two different people causing chaos can if they're able to keep it separate. Hey, cool. Both can coexist.
If we start butting heads and start going at each other, then there's just an implosion waiting to happen. Who knows? Maybe it will happen one day. I don't know. If they want to risk that, that's up to them.
Yeah, that's up to them. All right. Now I got some random questions, some wrestling related, some not. Some have absolutely nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far.
That's totally fine. These are the fun ones. I said these are the fun ones.
I know, right? All right. First one, craziest in-match moment for you. And, I've seen some recently, but, hey, craziest one for you so far.
Jesus. There's been so many. I think the craziest moment for me probably standing across the ring for Juice Robinson for the first time that I ever did.
Okay.
It's a lot of moments for me. Yeah. Another one the Juice Robinson one, that's very cool because he never really did indies around my area. I don't know if he did any others, but he was mostly in Japan at the time. So the fact that I got to wrestle him was a pretty cool moment for me. And it also really solidified. It's crazy to me because I never thought in a million years that I would wrestle him. At the time, he's a former IWGP United States champion 4 times over. He was in WWE. It was crazy to me, but there's one that now that I start getting my brain rolling, it's the Boogeyman. And back in 2019, when I was still up and coming and working, and I came across the Boogeyman, and I remember he shattered this clock over his head,
Oh, that whole
And
deal, yeah.
and I knew right behind me where I stood, I was like, I am probably going to get laid out by this guy in a moment. And there is glass right beneath my feet. So I'm just kicking glass away like crazy. Like, please don't get stabbed. Please don't get cut open. Please don't do any of this. We get choked. Me and my partner at the time, we got choke slammed, and then we ate the worms. As Taven put it, it's kind of like a rite of passage in the wrestling world. Everybody's got to eat the worms at least once.
I've always wondered about that because, yeah, I've seen plenty of people do it, and I'm like, oh boy, yeah, that looks interesting to say.
It's disgusting. I'll tell you now, it's disgusting. Like people, it's not fun. Like I was like,
yeah, go wash the taste out of your mouth.
Yeah,
I get you there. But yeah, I love having that one in there because some of the stories I've heard from, like, Auguste Artois and him in one of the matches he had in Puerto Rico, telling me about wearing a shirt to the ring that said in English and in Spanish, "Justice for Brody." And I'm like, oh fuck.
That's ballsy.
Yeah. Like, you talk about, being the heel and enjoying that. There's not too many people out there that love playing the heel to that level, because anybody that knows, the story about what happened down there with him, man, and all the crazy stories you hear about the passionate fans down there in Puerto Rico and some of the stuff that they blatantly do out there in the shows. It's like, he told me about the promoter telling him that he had gotten told that if he ever brings that guy back, he's not making it home. I'm like, yeah, not too many people cause that level of chaos and are actually getting away with it.
That's the type that I very much enjoy. There was a time that I beat a guy. I'm sorry to go on this whole tangent, but there was a time where I wrestled my opponent, and we had beaten him down so badly. We'd given him a pile driver into a chair weeks before, and he was still reeling from that head injury. So I made sure to target it. And the fans were so concerned that after I had won the title match, walked out of the ring, I remember all of them surrounded the ring. And I remember just talking my shit, walking around. And this one lady goes, "You are a despicable human being. You are a terrible person. Do you understand that? He is so hurt right now, and you caused that." I'm like, "Yep. See ya."
I love it. I love it. Oh my God. That is awesome. Now, we talked a lot about, the different international flavors that come into MLW. And, hell, a lot of the international flavors that come anywhere throughout the U.S. in different promotions. Where is somewhere, words are hard, international, that, like, bucket list before you hang up your boots, whenever the hell that's going to happen, you have to go there?
I have to go to Japan. Japan is like a goal. That is, I need to wrestle there at least once. If I can wrestle there at least once, I'm fine. I'm happy. I have always been enamored with Japanese culture, so I would love to see that firsthand. And not for nothing, but I also have like friends like Anthony Green, who I've spent plenty of time in Noah, and have told me how much he loves it and how much he enjoys it, and just all the different little cultural differences to American culture. And it's just so fascinating to me. So it's something that I would like to one day experience.
Oh yeah, as a fan, for me, yeah, to be able to even just see a show over in Japan would be something I want to do at some point, because I've watched so much of it that it's like, man, that looks like it would really be fun to actually be there and experience even the stuff outside of it.
Absolutely.
All right, now, I hear this a lot when people talk about, the lottery jackpots getting like crazy huge, and like, oh, you'd never be able to spend that much money, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, you give me that much money and tell me I have to spend all of it, watch me. But it's what I like to call fuck it money. Like some enormous amount that like there's stuff out there that I would never even be able to dream to afford. But hell, now I can. So fuck it, I'm gonna go get it. What is the first thing you would get if you had fuck it money?
Shelby Cobra Mustang.
Okay.
That's my that was me and my dad's favorite car.
Nice.
And then buy a big ass truck along with it.
No, I can get to there. I do love myself some trucks. Although my wife actually one time asked me about, a dream car, and I literally just said Vin Diesel's car from the first Fast and Furious movie.
I like muscle cars. That's it. I like loud, obnoxious muscle cars. Those are my type of car.
Oh yeah. There's some that really like I don't know. When they really get going and you start feeling it in your bones, you're just like, oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. I don't want to be one of those obnoxious people that like revs their engine in the middle of the city because those guys are tools. But
yeah,
I would enjoy having that car more than
no,
it.
I can definitely understand you there. All right, now with the name of a show like I feel like I have to ask this: favorite drink, alcoholic or otherwise?
So my go-to drink at the bar, like my uncle owns a restaurant here in Rhode Island, and they just know by now it's a vodka soda. Vodka soda, very plain, very generic, but at the same time, you have to put some lime in it, but that's always a go-to. That's me being good when I'm dieting and stuff like that. If I had to go with my favorite, like beer or anything, probably Corona.
Okay.
Always a go-to.
I know I definitely Corona, Dos Equis, I enjoy those. I know I'm also big, I got to go to Hawaii a bunch with the Navy, and I got hooked on different variety of the Kona beers, but especially Big Wave. I love that damn one. Or, talking about my favorite wrestler over here, Stone Cold's Broken Skull American Lager.
Yeah, I like those. I don't go out of my way to drink them though. They're fine. They're like good on occasion. The one beer that I have and that I really don't understand why there's so much hate. It's the Hulk Hogan beer. It's like a lot of people I haven't heard like a lot of strong opinions on it, and I'm just like it's exactly what I'd expect an American beer to taste like. It tastes like Coors. You're not expecting quality, people. I'm sorry, American beer. Loki sucks.
Yeah, no, there's with some of the international travel I've been able to do, yeah, no, a lot of the international beers definitely a lot better. Can't deny that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now last but not least here, best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
I said it earlier on the podcast. I'll say it again. You have to go train as many places as possible. Not only have I done like the Taven, like the school with Taven, the school with Ryan Waters, the school with Antonio Thomas, Showcase. Like I have gone to plenty of seminars, like two that come off the top of my head, Jerry Briscoe back in 2020, right before COVID. And then EC3. Very different. Very different. And like EC3 is one of those guys that takes it extremely seriously. He has a whole write-up and everything that he hands out to everybody that goes. I'm trying to think of other people. Like just there was a time that I drove X-Pac and just talked with him about not just wrestling, but life in general with him. So anytime that I have an opportunity, like Mark Henry, just spoke with him recently, got to talk with him recently. Anytime that I have an opportunity to learn from somebody that's done a lot in the wrestling business,
Oh yeah. No, you have the opportunity to sit under the learning tree of somebody that's been on the stages like a WrestleMania, like a Tokyo Dome, or wherever it might be, you'd be foolish not to take it.
I mean, just look at the group that I'm in right now. Just
that
too much in general with Bobby Fish and CW. Just the knowledge that they have and just the experience that they've told me. It's incredible because they have a wealth of knowledge that they can provide because they've been in the business for so long. And then you look at, like I said, there's so many different people that you can learn from. And half the time you don't have to be like, what's this? Why do I do this? Why do I do that? It just comes up in conversation. As long as you pay attention, you'd be like, wow, that's why he does things like that. I've never thought of it like that. Like half the time you just have to let people talk and you can pick their brain just from what they're talking.
No, most definitely. All right. Before we go, where can people find you social media wise? So if for some reason they don't already have their eyes on BRG, they can go to hell and get them there.
It's easy. Victorious _BRG. That's on Twitter. That's on, I mean, not Twitter, X, Instagram, and TikTok. And Facebook is just Brett Gosselin. It's easy to find me. You can send me a friend request. Don't got many more. There's like a cap at like 5,000 on friends. So you only got like, we're almost there. And I can't wait because then I don't have to get any more friend requests from some weird ass people. I may throw a party for it in all honesty.
Hey, when you don't have to worry about that anymore, I can imagine it's like, whew, okay, here we go. But yeah, no, we'll get all of that in the description. But that is about all I have. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me tonight. It was an absolute pleasure. Best of luck out there, MLW, Rogue Horsemen, and anywhere beyond that. I am sure 2025 and beyond is going to be a great year for not only the group, but yourself.
Oh, I believe it. I firmly believe that. Mark my words now.
All right. Fucking thing with this goddamn